I request the students to please stand up. The guests have arrived. I request the dignitaries to please be seated, sir. I request the dignitaries to please be seated on the dais. Yeah. A very good morning to one and all. Our esteemed chief guest for the function, Shri Sudhakar Gudipati ji, Vice President CSR, Bajaj Auto Limited. Shri Pramod Rawat, Chairman, Deccan Education Society. Dr. Anand Katikar, Secretary, Deccan Education Society. Advocate Ashok Palande, Vice Chairman, Council and Governing Body, Deccan Education Society. Shri Purushottam Mukunddas Lohia ji, Member, Governing Body, DES Pune University. Our esteemed guest speaker for the day, CA Vineet Dev, Dr. Prasad Khandekar, Vice Chancellor, DES Pune University. Dr. Mrugakshi Rajhans, Head of School, School of Business and Management, DES Pune University. Dr. Prasad Namjoshi, Head of School, Shri Mukunddas Lohia, Department of Filmmaking and Dramatics. We welcome you to the program, sir. I request the dignitaries to please be seated on the dais. I request the students to be seated, please. I welcome the dignitaries again. As is customary, we begin the program with Saraswati Pujan and Deepa Prajwalan. I request the dignitaries to please proceed for Saraswati Pujan and Deepa Prajwalan. Thank you, everyone. It is with great pride and immense respect that we gather here today to inaugurate a lecture series dedicated to the remarkable legacy of Shri Mukunddas Lohia ji on his 90th birth anniversary. This series stands not just as a tribute to his extraordinary contributions, but as a celebration of the ideals he championed throughout his life. Mukunddas Lohia ji was more than just a visionary. He was a trailblazer who inspired countless individuals to pursue knowledge, to empowerment. His life was a vibrant example of how passion, perseverance, and purpose can lead a meaningful change. As students, you are the torchbearers of his legacy. This series is designed for you to spark your curiosity, to challenge your thinking, and to inspire you to engage deeply with the world around you. Over the coming months, you will hear from a diverse array of speakers, each bringing their unique insights and experiences. I encourage you to participate actively, ask questions, and explore the ideas presented. This year's theme for the lecture series is Vikasit Bharat, which is the vision to make India a developed nation by 2047, the 100th year of Indian independence. The vision encompasses various aspects of development, including economic growth, social progress, environmental sustainability, and good governance. As we honor Mukunddas Lohia ji today, let us commit ourselves to his vision. Let us embrace the ideals of curiosity, compassion, community service that he championed. We feel fortunate to celebrate this special occasion. Let us make this lecture series a vibrant tribute to a man who believed in each of you and your ability to shape a brighter future. With this, I would now request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, DES Pune University, Dr. Prasad Khandekar sir, to interact with the audience.
Thank you, Professor Sai. Dignitaries on the dais, today's chief guest, Sri Sudhakar ji, welcome to DS Pune University. Our leader, source of energy, chairman of Deccan Education Society, Sri Pramod Rawat ji, vice chairman, Advocate Palande sir, Sri Purushottam ji Lohia, Dr. Prasad Namjoshi, head of Design and Art School, and School of Business and Management head, Dr. Mrugakshi Rajaus, my mentor, my guru, a person at the age of 84 who still inducts energy in me, Major Arun Phatak sir. Thank you so much for making it here today for this function. And dear students, there has been a lot of discussions at the very top level in Indian education system, why we are not in top 100, why we are not in top 500, and why did we lose the sheen of education in last 200 years or so, post British left India, why we are still not able to reach to the top education scenario. What we understand here is, in Indian education system, if we want to make quality contributions, delta contributions year by year, we have to come out with a model which was existed few thousand years ago, and we have to revive that model. That model was completely based on the philanthropy approach towards education, whether it was Gurukul system, whether it was universities like Takshashila, Nalanda, or any such great universities where students across the globe used to come to study in India, and our own faculty or guru used to impart knowledge of wisdom to them. Now we are in the process in Vikasit Bharat 2047, our Prime Minister's call. We are actually aiming to revive our old education system and bring it back through young universities like DS Pune University. I am very thankful and grateful to Sri Purushottam ji Lohia for having understood the cause of education can only make that nation building possible, and having generously donated money which was used towards the construction of Sri Mukunddas Lohia Academic Complex, where we all work from today. So I request all of you to clap and accept the generosity of Sri Lohia ji. People like Lohia ji in the society are giving hopes to teachers like us. Yes, there are people who understand the importance of education, and through philanthropic activities they support the education. And when we have people like Sri Lohia ji, I have lots of hope from this generation sitting in this audience that will make our country a great country. Today, on the 90th birth anniversary of Sri Mukunddas Lohia ji, we name two departments after Sri Mukunddas ji Lohia. one department of design and art where filmmaking and dramatics courses are being currently taught on the 5th floor of this Mukunddas Lohia Academic Complex, and a second department from where we will be running PG diploma programs in business and management. Again, it was our commitment that we will start a lecture series in the name of Sri Mukunddas Ji Lohia, and today marks the beginning of that lecture series, and you are the witness towards that history, because usually the lecture series become a part of the university for years to come, and today marks the beginning of that lecture series in DIS Pune University. I am so happy that today we have Sri Sudhakar Gudipatti coming here and inaugurating this lecture series. Sri Sudhakar, I am sure our anchor will announce his career profile to all of you, but he is again a close friend of mine, and I keep on learning few things from him, and he is passionate person towards the skilling. He has a mission under Bajaj Auto Limited to skill Indian youth to make Vikasit Bharat dream. Sir, we are on the formal education side, you are on the skilling side. If we both can come together, we can definitely make sure that the dreams are not a dream. So with these few words, I thank Sri Lohia ji and his entire family for helping people like us. I thank our chairman and vice chairman both. They have been very kind and supportive of every initiative that we take at the university. We are a very young university, although DS has 140 years legacy, but we will complete our 1 year day after tomorrow on 26 September. You should know that our foundation day is day after tomorrow. But we are youngest child of DS. Out of 59 children, we are the youngest child. But we will make you proud, sir, by our work in education, chairman, sir, and vice chairman, I assure you that. I thank all of you and my team, faculty and staff for having this wonderful organization on this Mukunddas Lohia lecture series. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. As illustrated earlier, we at DES Pune University have started this lecture series with a vision. Let me now call upon Dr. Siddharth Shimpi sir, Academic Head, School of Business and Management, to elaborate on the vision, aim and purpose of this lecture series.
Very good morning to everyone. It is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce the launch of Sri Mukunddas Lohia Endowment Lecture Series here at DES Pune University. This marks the beginning the remarkable journey to celebrate the life, values and contribution of Sri Mukunddas Lohia, an esteemed individual whose profound vision and transformative work have left an incredible mark on the society. Sri Mukunddas Lohia was not only a visionary but also strong advocate of intellectual rigor and social impact. His life's work serves as an inspiration to all of us, and today we continue his legacy by initiating this lecture series. The aim is to foster deep intellectual discussions on pressing issues, creating a platform for students, faculty, and the academic community to engage with influential thought leaders. Through these discussions, we honor Sri Lohia's vision of continuous learning and meaningful social contributions. Sri Mukunddas Lohia Endowment Lecture Series will feature prominent academicians, industry leaders, and thought-provoking individuals who will guide us through topics of great significance. Our first lecture will take place on 24th September, that is today, followed by subsequent sessions on 24th November, 24th February, and 24th April. Each session will reflect different themes aligned with Sri Lohia's vision of social responsibility and intellectual growth. This series promises to provide a space for curiosity, reflection, and insight, inspiring students and faculty alike to explore new ideas and contribute to meaningful discussions. We are confident that the lecture series will soon become a cornerstone of our academic culture. In closing, I extend a warm welcome to all of you to join us in this exciting journey. Thank you.
To add to this, we have created a lecture series handbook. I would now request all the dignitaries on the dais to come forward and formally unveil the handbook. To elaborate a little on the handbook, this handbook has information and facts and trivia about Sri Mukunddas Lohia ji and the vision with which we have started with this lecture series. Today, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce today's chief guest, Shri Sudhakar Gudipati ji. Sudhakar Gudipati is an experienced professional in the field of corporate social responsibility and sustainability with a strong background in human resources. With over 10 years of experience in the CSR domain and 14 years in HR, Sir has demonstrated his ability to drive positive change and make a lasting impact. He is known for being a risk taker with a keen business acumen. He possesses excellent leadership skills and has a knack for challenging existing systems and introducing innovative ideas. Throughout his career, he has demonstrated a strong commitment to social responsibility, sustainability, and driving positive change within organization and communities. With his extensive experience in CSR, HR, and program development, Sudhakar Gudipati ji continues to make significant contribution in the field of education, skill development, and CSR. To highlight a few of his professional experience, Sir currently holds a position of Vice President CSR at Bajaj Auto Limited, a leading automobile manufacturer based in Pune, Maharashtra, India. In this role, he is responsible for heading the CSR department within the organization. He has served as the business unit head, vocational education at TCS ION, a division of Tata Consultancy Services. During his tenure, he played a key role in developing vocational education programs and making a significant impact on skilling ecosystem. He was also the founding member of Tata Strive, a skill development initiative by the Tata Group. From September 2014 to April 2021, he held the position of Head, Program Development and Partnerships. Under his leadership, Tata Strive impacted the lives of nearly 1 million people through its skill development programs. Prior to joining Tata Strive, Sudhakar ji served as the General Manager, Group Corporate Sustainability at Tata Council for Community Initiatives from August 2013 to September 2014. He gained valuable experience in HR during his tenure at Tata Teleservices Limited, where he held the position of Business HR Leader, Corporate Functions from August 2004 to 2013. He has also taken his small steps into the career of HR and CSR from organizations such as Bharti Airtel and Asian Paints Limited. As a token of our gratitude, I request Dr. Prasad Khandekar, Honorable Vice Chancellor, DES Pune University, to felicitate our chief guest, Shri Sudhakar Gudipati ji. Thank you, everyone. Let us not now wait any more to gather a few pearls of wisdom from the sea of experience by our chief guest, Sri Sudhakar Gudipati ji. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for such a long and great introduction. But I must tell you, whatever she said is not true. Because I'm still a student, learning even after 25 years of my career. Because I feel that the day when you stop learning, and you will never be able to live peacefully and happy. So while all these companies and experiences which she spoke about are incidental, but my journey continues to learn every day. Thank you for a great introduction once again. Before I start, I think I must definitely thank few people here. Shri Pramod Rawatji. Sir, I just wanted to tell you one thing today. See, my career now, I've spent 25 years, out of which almost 19 years I was with Tata Group. I'm sure all of you know that Tata Group is known for its philanthropic initiatives and work. And hopefully the rest of the career, half of my career, I'm going to spend with Bajaj, another philanthropic house which is actually very well known for giving back to society. So both founders of Tata Group and Bajaj Group, Shri Jamshedji Tata and Shri Jamnalal Bajaj, believed in giving back to society. And I must tell you that when I stepped into this university today, till yesterday, what I knew about this is 0.0001%. Rather, that 0.001% was Prasad Khandekar sir. Beyond that, I didn't know anything about DES, but I must tell you, I felt so nice that there are institutions like this, like Tata Group, like Bajaj, who are purely into philanthropic, and congratulations for your leadership for creating such a great culture here. And definitely I think the today's important day, and we are here, Shri Lohia ji and his family, the contribution to this is something which is phenomenal. I must tell you, I think there are very few philanthropists who really want to make a big impact, particularly in the student community, and I'm so glad that he chose to really contribute here. And I'm sure, sir, I think your contribution will help big time. And I'm also very happy when Khandekar sir told me saying that you put some conditions for this grant, which is very important because those conditions are productive conditions. Starting a lecture series where you're inviting industry experts to come and talk and make students actually understand what industry experts is very good, and I am really great, because otherwise many people write checks and just give it and they forget about it, and so thankful for taking that approach. I think big round of applause for Lohia ji and family. And the reason why I'm here, Dr. Prasad Khandekar, Vice Chancellor of DES University, sir. So as he said, he's a good friend. Actually, I met him in MIT when I was with TCS. When you meet some people, typically when you meet academicians, they are very boring. Am I right? You agree or not? No? Okay. All are scared. But I must tell you, so passionate person, and we were trying to create a very visionary program in collaboration with MIT and TCS ION. Unfortunately, it did not happen, and I'm glad. I think that's a good thing which has happened because he's here. Okay. Big round of applause for Khandekar sir and rest of the dignitaries on the stage. Thank you for being there, and I felt very nice because I've been in skill development for almost like 10-11 years. Prior to that, I was with HR for almost like 15 years. In the last few years, particularly in the last 2-3 years, I must have visited some 100+ universities and colleges. I can tell you not more than 1 or 2 universities whom I must have come across who have got a philanthropic mindset. Mostly everyone have become commercial. Rather, actually nowadays universities are run like industries. What they are most interested is bottom line. I think that is not the purpose of education, and I'm glad that I think DES has taken a very different approach, particularly the way the governing council has been created. And I understand that the 50% of the members are from industry and who are working as an honorary members, and remaining 50% who has a power to write a check are all faculty. I think this is very unique, sir. I think congratulations for such a great model to create, and I'm sure, I think I really like Pramod sir said in the morning saying that we will keep doing the good job, and I'm sure there will be few universities in the future who are commercial will become non-commercial. I think that happens. Even if it happens with a few more universities, I think we would have done a great thing. And really wonderful to be part of it. So I kept thinking yesterday, what should I speak about? Because as I told you, I'm still a student, I'm learning. Prasad sir also didn't give me any context. He said that you come and speak whatever you want to speak. Okay, so what I did is I tried to list out few topics which I felt maybe my experience which I wanted to share with you as my fellow friends and students, because these experiences some of you might, it might help you. I picked up few from my own professional career and few personally what I really followed which really helped me. So I'll start with the professional, I think, which is very critical for both actually student community and as well as the academia and industry to understand, which is basically a big challenge of skill development in the country. A lot of people think that skill development is very different from mainstream education, and I personally believe these are two interlinked. Without education, skills cannot sustain, and without skills, education is not useful at all. I'll tell you why. The reason is few statistics I've written yesterday I was going through. Do you know that more than 60% of the graduates in India are actually not employable? Means many of the organizations, industries feel that they are not skilled enough to take up. Very recently, I don't know if you are following, IIT Bombay lowest salary is actually it got down from 6 lakh per annum to 4 lakh per annum. Do you know what is 4 lakh per annum? It's 30,000, correct? 32,000 rupees per month. And today 32,000 per month is earned by even doing in many unorganized jobs. So IIT Bombay students are, some of the students are getting that salary, and it's very unfortunate. And many top institutions like IIMs and as well as institutions like FMS and so on, they are not able to place 100% of their students. And there are so many students who are becoming unemployed. And many graduates from tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, all of you are fortunate that you are in actually a place like Pune. You get to meet lecturers and faculty of that quality. You get to interact with industry, you get to know so many opportunities, but people who are living in tier 2, 3, 4, you go to Dhule, you go to Malegaon, you go to Latur, there are so many graduate colleges, engineering colleges, but most of the students actually end up getting into unorganized jobs. I'll give you one example. My previous organization, we used to run an auto technician program, where the basic qualification for an auto technician program was 10th standard. More than 50% of the students were actually BTech, and some of them were MTech students. I'm not demeaning the job of auto technician, but what is the point in somebody going through a formal education for so many years but getting into informal job? And likewise, there are many statistics. Even in Bajaj Auto itself, we hire close to 3,000 to 4,000 youth every year, out of which almost we have like 500 plus engineers joined from top NITs and IITs. You know about NITs and IITs. They are very, they are called Institute of National Importance, and pretty well known for the quality of education. But I must tell you, almost all of them lack hands-on skills. So today the situation is what industry wants and what is being taught in academia, there is a huge gap. And I would not say this is the fault of academia alone. I say that I think it's a fault of industry as well. And in the last budget, almost 1.48 lakh crore was budgeted for education, employment and skilling. But I am not sure that there is a huge change in the way it is being done. I think there's a huge requirement for now both industry and academia to come together and work. Why am I telling you all these things? Because end of the day, after you complete your education, you are going to step into industry. When you get into industry, the first thing which they will check is do you know the work what is supposed to happen in the industry? I'll give you one example. We work in manufacturing factory. We are completely automated industry. We have got multiple vendors who work for manufacturing some of our bikes, parts. All of them have advanced robots which are being used. And engineering students who come from the colleges have not even seen the robo in their lifetime. The moment they step into the industry, they feel that they're scared to touch the robo because they don't know what will happen. Will it get spoiled or will I get hurt? Likewise, there are so many technologies which are advanced in the industry, but today that exposure is not there for students. And I'm sure even in business and as well as management, the lessons what you learn and what you actually practice in the industry, they are quite different. The case studies and the situations which you face when you get into the industry are going to be extremely real time, and you will never learn that in a book. I think that's where the lecture series like this is going to be very useful for you, because they will bring in industry relevance. So what we did in Bajaj, I want to take this as an example. Maybe I think DES can also think of integrating such kind of models. We introduced something called a Bajaj Engineering Skills Training Program, which is a focused skill development program. Almost 90% of our skilling CSR budgets are now going towards this. This is specifically for the students who are in engineering and diploma who do not have a hands-on skill. We are coming and upgrading the labs in the academia and also training the faculty, because another big gap in the academia is the faculty are also not aware what happens in the industry. So how will they really come back and bring in a change? Because I always believe deprived cannot provide. If faculty themselves don't have skills, how can they really transform skills in the youth? And I think that's the whole reason why we set up these labs, and we are now training faculty, and now they are going and training students. For example, Symbiosis Institute of Technology, which is in Pune itself, we have set up that center. And likewise, there are 4 more centers which we have set up, and we are going to expand this to 15 centers in the country. And whatever training which is required in the industry, we are getting that done in the institute itself. I think that's how we are bridging the gap between skills required and as well as what is being taught. And I think this integration is very important. What we do is, from 7th semester onwards, students actually, as part of their curriculum, they can come and study here. Similarly, I would strongly suggest that if you could align your curriculum to industry requirements and identify some of the corporates who can actually come and build a curriculum for industry relevance, let the kids go and actually experience the market. Let them go and work in the factories or in the companies. Let them face customers. And I think that real-time experience is going to be extremely critical along with the quality education what you get. And I'm sure, I think, once you are skilled and once you understand the on-ground situation, it will be really useful. And I think it can be introduced as internship, it could be introduced as curriculum-linked program. But I think that's something which I feel is critical. So another topic which is, I think, is a very interesting and very close to me, and which is also a major challenge in the education, which I felt I need to tell. So I was very good in mathematics, okay, and I used to love maths. Then I studied my graduation in maths, computers and statistics, okay. Then I got into a job in HR. Then I spent 15 years in HR. Then one fine day I realized this is not the job which I want to do. Then I got into skill development. Then I did skill development for some time, and now I'm into SCSR. So what I studied and what I'm doing is completely different. I'm sure many of the dignitaries here also would have had a similar kind of experience. Why is this issue? Fundamentally, when we studied, we didn't have anybody to mentor and tell what sort of careers which are available, what is your interest, what are your abilities. And fortunately, all of you have got a lot of information, But this is actually overloading of information which you really don't know what you exactly do. I've met so many graduates and so many young kids, even after completing engineering, even after completing, their graduation, they still are not aware what they want to do after they complete their education, what job they want to do. I met one candidate when I interviewed last year. That boy did a BE Civil Engineering, okay, from IIT Indore. After doing BE Civil Engineering, he went and joined Tata Institute of Social Sciences. And I asked him, what do you want to do in Tata Institute of Social Sciences? He said, I want to get into development sector. He said, then why you did civil engineering? My father told me to do it, so I did it. Okay, that is a kind of a situation which is there in the country, and I think it's very important that all of you are aware of careers. And let me tell you, there are more than 500 plus top careers in India, whereas on an average, 90% of the people know about only 7 careers: doctors, engineers, the regular careers which are there. And I think that's a sheer waste of time when somebody studies in a particular stream and after some time they get into different routes. So it's important for you to identify first of all, what information is available about the careers and what sort of abilities you have and what is your interest. And I think it's also important to find an interest. Don't take up career because your parents are forcing you to do it. Don't take it because your brother has already done the similar kind of thing and they are successful. You will be successful only when you do something which is actually liked by you, which is as per your interest and as well as your abilities. So these are the two topics which basically in my own experience when I worked with TCS, Tata Group, Bajaj, I learnt about and I felt it's important to share. But personally, few things which have really helped me, which I want to share with you, because some point of time I'm sure all of you also would get into a situation where you start thinking about it. One, I think the purpose. Okay, all of you must be knowing why is this mad guy spent 15 years in HR and he could have grown to become a HR head or CHRO sort of a thing. Suddenly one fine day I just dropped that career and got into getting into the development sector, doing something which I didn't know ABCD of sustainability, I didn't know ABCD of skill development. The simple reason because there was a conversation which I had with my ex-boss, Dr. Mukunddas, in Tata Group, near his house. So we were walking around the pool and he spoke about two very critical initiatives which Tata Group wanted to implement. One is called Tata Group volunteering program, where people can go work with NGOs and give their time and skills to help them improve. And second is a skill development, which she was also mentioning about that 1 million impact which we have created. I think that calling was very, very important. I realized saying that I think if I really want to do something, I need to do something where I get paid, but I also give it back to society. With this first part, I get paid, I may not require it for quite a long time, but what I chose the second one, where I want to give it back to the society, I think that opportunity was very important. Because of that, in the last 10 years, I have learned about what is required in the community, how we can impact, what sort of programs which we should do, and how we can give it back to the society. And I think that calling and that purpose was very good. And I'm telling you, bottom of my heart, I used to earn a lot of money in HR as well, but I never used to live peacefully and sleep peacefully. Today I feel so nice because yesterday evening I got a message from Shastra University, one of our program, where they said 14 students have got placed in one of the companies with 3.5 to 4.5 lakh rupees. It felt so nice. And Symbiosis is the center which we ran here. 100% of the students got placed. Some of them who came from Latur, they got a salary of 6 lakhs, which is more than IIT Bombay salary. So that's a kind of a impact which actually gives me a lot of kick. And I'm sure, I think each one of you should look for that purpose. And I'm sure you'll do very well in career. It doesn't matter where you're working, you will really do well. And second is, I told you about the passion for learning, because I'm still a student. I keep learning every day. I learned so many things today coming here. And I'm sure, I think each one of you also, if you have that attitude, till you get retired, post-retirement also. I met some fantastic individuals today. They are still working in so many, your mentor, advising so many universities and so many, companies. I think that's all part of the learning process. Continue to do that. And finally, I think because at some point of time you will also become a leader, it's important for you to really, to be a successful leader. Few things which really help me is to whomever you're going to work with, please provide clarity to that person, and this is applicable even at home as well. Lack of clarity creates a lot of challenges, both personal and professional, and please make sure that you provide that clarity to your team. And second, I think trust the team whom you are going to work with. Do you know almost 60 to 70% of our time we spend with our office colleagues, and only 30 to 40% we spend with our family. We trust our family members, we don't trust our team members. That doesn't work. So you have to treat your office colleagues as an extended family and start trusting them, and I'm sure, I think you'll always build friends for lifetime, and it has happened with me also, and I'm sure it will happen with you as well. And I always feel that I think people who work with you are, first they are human being, then later they are employees. So if you're able to connect at that level, I'm sure you will really have a great relationships. And second thing, lot of people think that when you grow as leader, like if you see my title Vice President CSR, all of you must be thinking, okay, this fellow must be sitting in a big cabin, giving orders to people, what to do and all of that. I can tell you it doesn't work like that. If you want to be a great leader, you have to do, you have to act, and you have to show. If you don't act, if you don't do, and if you don't showcase the work, in your team nobody will follow that. So the leaders are someone who act and who work. So till yesterday evening, I was actually till 10 o'clock I was working on a presentation for something. So it doesn't really matter, because I do that because I learn. If you have that mindset in your DNA, you will keep growing all the time. And then finally, I think focus on process, focus on one thing. Don't focus on multiple things, because a lot of people think that I'm a multitasker. It doesn't work like that. Focus on one thing, but make it best, and I'm sure you will have a wonderful career. And I thought these few learnings would be useful to you. If I have bored you, I'm sorry. But I thought these are very, very important things which has worked for me personally, and I'm sure it will be, some of you could also experience some new things and keep sharing. And really wonderful to be here. I felt very nice coming to know about one more philanthropic organization who is actually giving back to society. And really thank you, sir, for inviting me, and really enjoyed spending time here. I didn't realize that I'm here since 9:30, and I didn't realize the time at all. Thank you once again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir. I would like to thank you for addressing the skills gap, the efforts taken by Bajaj Auto, and of course, a mantra for us students that we must listen to our higher calling. So, as the inauguration function of the Mukunddas Lohia Endowment Lecture Series in Business and Management is nearing to an end, I would request Dr. Mrugakshi Rajans, Head of School, Business and Management, to propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sai. I take this opportunity to thank all the dignitaries on the dais, for making this event a great success. This is just the beginning of a new journey. In all the coming years, Sri Mukunddas Ji Lohia sir will be remembered, and his vision for quality education to students will be nurtured by all the coming batches of DS Pune University. I extend my special thanks to Sri Sudhakarji Gudipati for accepting our invitation. Sir, your guidance and advice will be of immense help to our students. This will be the carry of or takeaway of the day. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, one and all. I request the students to be seated while the guests are being escorted. We will start with our session by our guest speaker in a short while. Dear students, sorry. Yeah. Dear students, I, Dr. Saeed Kulkarni, Assistant Professor, School of Business and Management, on behalf of the School of Business and Management, welcome you to the first ever session of Mukunddas Lohia Endowment Lecture Series in Business and Management. The topic for today's lecture is Building Futures by Exploring Student Startup Ideas, and we are honored to have CA Vineet Dev as our guest speaker. So I welcome CA Vineet Dev on the dais, please. Welcome, sir. I would now like to call upon Dr. Disha Rajadhyaksha, Assistant Professor, School of Business and Management, to introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you, Sai ma'am. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you today as we delve into a topic that resonates deeply with the spirit of innovation and progress, that is, building futures by exploring student startup ideas. In a world that thrives on creativity and entrepreneurship, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment. As we align with the inspiring theme of Vikasit Bharat, a vision shared by our Honorable PM Narendra Modi ji, for this year's Endowment Lecture Series, we are reminded that the journey towards a developed nation is fueled by the dreams and aspirations of its youth. The potential for innovation lies not only in the established businesses but also in the fresh, transformative ideas that our students can bring to life. Today, we have the honor of hearing from remarkable leader who embodies this very spirit. Mr. Vineet Dev is a chartered accountant and managing director of Posiview Group. He is a visionary with over 20 years of extensive experience in finance and strategy. His firm has successfully raised funding for hundreds of projects across India. Mr. Dev is particularly focused on the mergers and acquisitions of promising companies, especially in the MSME sector, highlighting his commitment to nurturing growth at every level. As a past vice chairman of ICAI Pune, he has earned accolades such as the Lokmat Icon of Pune Award and the Best Speaker Award at the Times of India Annual Finance Conclave, showcasing his dedication to the excellence in his field. Moreover, Sir is a board member of the Seed Fund Committee at Savitribai Phule Pune University and is passionate about empowering the next generation of entrepreneurs. As the chair of the Student Startup Committee of the Indus Entrepreneurs, he plays a crucial role in fostering an environment where innovative ideas can flourish. His insights on student careers in finance and management and entrepreneurship are highly sought after, as he regularly shares his experiences and expertise on various platforms. Today, Sir will share his invaluable perspective on how student startup ideas can pave the way for a prosperous future, not just for individuals, but for our entire nation. He will guide us to think beyond conventional boundaries, encouraging us to explore and nurture the entrepreneurial spirit within all of us. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming CA Vineet Dev.
On behalf of School of Business and Management, I would like to request Dr. Mrugakshi Rajans to felicitate Sir. The stage is yours, sir.
Thank you. Okay. So, Dr. Rajans, uh, Dr. Rajajaksha, thank you so much for the invitation, as also the uh, Deccan Education University, the DES University. And I really look forward to this, about an hour of conversation with young minds like you. So what we'll do today is simple. I was told we are students from about first year to MBA, right? That's the broad makeup of the class. I have a habit that when I attend anything or I read a book, watch a movie, you interact with people, because time is precious and you have to make the most of all of these things, I become extremely selfish, or maybe coming here or accepting invitations, is that you have to ask yourself, what do I get out of this? The speaker is whoever he is, he studied, he's made a presentation, whatever, what do I get? Right? And that is it's not being selfish at all. So in fact, in my second job, there's a company called Geometric Software, and about every week 10 employees were randomly selected to interact with the MD, right from very basic level to somebody like a VP, and it was like interaction, like a chai pe charcha thing. So one of the things and you could ask questions and he could guide, so the whole thing was an inspiration. One of the things which our MD, Mr. Manu Parpia, he was part of the extended Godrej family. So I said that, what is that, if there's something that you would like to stay with me or us, every moment, every day of our life, because we can't meet you again and again, and we can't keep on asking you questions. So for productivity, I can ask you something now, but 3 months from now, my productivity will be something different. If I have a 2-member team, it's a different problem. 50-member team is a very different problem, right? So what would you like to tell me that can stay with the rest of my life? It's very simple. So he smiled and he said, just do one very simple thing, okay? Do not accept mediocrity and do not pass on mediocrity. Mediocrity means average performance, subpar. So typically somebody, you're given a task to someone and he said, today 5 o'clock he'll deliver. You go to his desk, he realizes wo banda wahan pe nahi hai. There's no message, there's no email, and he's gone. Now it's okay, he may not be feeling well, he may whatever it is, but this is bad because he could at least have texted, he could have left a note, he could have done n number of things, or maybe next day morning, right? Now the moment you accept it, you're also passing it on, because now you are passing that burden on to your boss. Correct? And then the organization is falling. So if you read many of these biographies, right, from whatever, Steve Jobs or Sam Wall, whatever it is, right, everywhere you see these very aggressive kind of leaders chasing targets, and there's a different debate on whether that aggression good or what, etc. But for today, let's assume that it is good, right? So drawing from that example, and this is I'm just passing on what I learned. It has helped me a lot in life, that if you are listening to this, obviously not everything in the 1 hour will be applicable, because everybody will have different orientation, but you ought to listen to it to, what do I get out of this? And for that, you need to ask yourself a question that, now of course this is in a college context, so in a sense it's compulsory to attend, but let's presume it was optional to attend, right? So let's assume that it's optional to attend. I have attended and I'm here now and I have to spend this hour. So if you don't put it in context, and these contexts will be different for different people, and I'm giving this preamble so you can then lays the foundation for the next 1 hour. Well, I want every one of you, each one of you, to kind of take home something and to work on it. That's the whole idea, and it is very much possible. So the context is A, of course, starting with what do I want to do. So let's take a quick poll, for example. So let's say the topic is startups. How many of you just wish, whether to start something on your own? Quick raise of hands. That's a good number. I think, I don't know, maybe about 20-30% of the class. Thank you. Right? Whether you have an idea or, okay, let's wo bhi pooch lete hain. How many of you have a vague or concrete or whatever idea? Right, wrong, alag cheez hai. How many of you have an idea? Oh, that's nice. Still 8-10 people. Right? So let's say, assuming 50 people raise their hands, about 10 people raise their hands in this class now, right? So the context for the 3 people kind of changes. For the 10 people, you're looking for something really concrete, okay, from the startup ideas. Industries, trends. If you have something, for example, in, let's say, agro processing. So you can maybe ask if there's a time for questions taking that, or how do you build a business, and so on and so forth, right? For the 40 people who wish to have, but who have nothing in mind, 50-50 kind of stuff, you can figure out from this talk whether it really makes sense, because we'll talk on that. The pluses, minuses, you know, in Marathi we have this Durun Dongar Sajre, or grass is greener on the other side in English, right? So it looks nice, but you also have cases like Byju's and so many which are now failing. So we'll also tackle that. So for those 40, is it for me? What does it mean? And so on and so forth. And for the rest, 2 perspectives, right? One, of course, is a thought, food for thought. Is this, you know, can I start thinking about this time? Do I want to be on my own or get a job? Second perspective is, do I want to work for these people? So what we mean is, what does it mean to work for a startup? How are they? Because ultimately you're going to work somewhere. Should I work for a telco, an Infosys, etc.? Or can I evaluate startups as something to work, or something to supply, or something to provide to? How does that ecosystem look like? Because ultimately you're going to work somewhere. So there's something for each, and that's the kind of a buffet we plan to have here. Okay. So before that, I think Dr. Isaac Shah mentioned an interesting topic, and when we met for the intervention, and that is glad, I think, one of the rarer times these days that both of them had, and I was really touched, they had come over for the invitation, but that gave us an opportunity to discuss, we discuss issues, students, kya hai, and that's very rare. Because now it's email invitations, phone call invitations, etc. for many of these events. So I think I really appreciate that. But that gave us some kind of a background for setting this up. So we are going to do 2 things. That's where this whole Viksit Bharat came up, because it's in town, and I'll tell you how it's relevant to you. So one, we'll start off with something on Viksit Bharat and why it's relevant to you. And then we'll jump on to startups, whys, hows, whether, all of that. And then you can figure out, right? So, and so why is Viksit Bharat important? Quick example, like all of you are of course born after there was an IT boom, you know, post 2000s, right? Then there's this bypass that all of you have gone, Bombay, Bangalore bypass and so on. And there's an IT park, Hinjawadi IT park, and so on and so forth. Now, I remember I learned, I mean, I had a license, but kind of I didn't have a car, sort of, and I used to work with geometry, which was Hinjawadi IT park. So if you want to understand the macroeconomic perspective, is that, and there was an industrial, I mean, there was an IT park there. So government notified a park, Infosys came, Wipro came, and then, so that development you don't really see suddenly, like say 20 buildings coming up. You see एक building, and even when you're working there, you don't realize कि इसका Hinjawadi बनने वाला है. And I have the same example of Bandra Kurla, which I'll share shortly in Bombay. So I have learned my Maruti 800 on the bypass. It's impossible, and this is not 50 years back. I'm saying 2003. So my friend used to hate driving a car. I used to love driving it. So that was our trade-off, that I used to drive him. And there was the practical, you can imagine, left, right, kuch bhi, traffic on bypass. If I'm learning the car, hardly any trucks and so on and so forth. And you can look at then a 10-year and 20-year development. Now, the reason I'm giving you this is that imagine that there was somebody who could have given us or me a macroeconomic perspective like we are doing now of Viksit Bharat. These are not isolated buildings, because you see a large Maidan and you see 2 buildings, 3 buildings. So there is something called as a IT policy. There is something called as outsourcing. There is something called as a dollar exchange rate. And yahan pe 50 rupaye, and that people are coming, and somebody's talking. So all of that, connecting the dots, if somebody would have said, then you could have got a much better perspective. Maybe somebody would have bought land, somebody would have like stayed working there, or even if many companies that we see are very small. So for example, one of my very close friends is one of the first 10 employees in Persistent, and we used to just like drop in as if it's like a small startup. Now it's impossible to believe, but he stuck around till IPO, for example, and he saw, right? So when we talk of these things, what we are trying to do is we are trying to look at 20, 30 years down the line, not as speculation or India is going to be the 3rd largest economy. And no, that is irrelevant. What does that number mean to you? Like 5 trillion and itna percent GDP. What is going to happen on the ground? So that is what we're going to start. That is very, very relevant to you. So you can decide your startup, you can decide your job, you can decide India mein rehna hai ki nahi. पोस्ट ग्रेड करना है कि नहीं, कहाँ जाना है. That's the whole big relevance. And of course today, of course it's not a career orientation. Today we are looking at from a startup angle, all of this, right? So that is where policies come in the picture, which we generally, even the news media, they are just passing references. There's no great analysis. They say कि ये है, इससे ये होगा, and so on and so forth, right? So let's look at India in that context, and I'll just quickly cover. So the whole idea is, we say this is Amrit Kal because the last 25 years, by the time we become a 100-year-old kind of a free country. So these things are some symbolic, beyond the point. As a leader, you have to set a target. Like we set targets, कि exam है 10 तारीख को, 6 तारीख तो होना चाहिए. So it never happens till 6th, but you set a target. So we've got a target. So what is that target? What we wish to be in this Viksit Bharat is very simple. That right now, basically economies are classified into 4 categories. Some of you might know. So there's low income, middle income, high. Middle is broken up into lower middle, higher middle. Where are we? What kind of economy are we? We are a lower middle income economy right now. China is still not high income. China is still. So we are right now at a stage which many Asian countries were like 20-25 years back. Our goal by 2047. So high income is all Europe and US, which is classified as a GDP per capita of about $14,000. We are about $2,500. So the goal are about $2,000. A simple goal that the Prime Minister has kept is that 2047 we should be a high income country. By that time the target would have shifted from 14,000 to about 20,000. So your GDP has per capita, which means what comes to you as an average, ought to grow 10x. Correct? So now these become statements of intent. You have to, it's not so that 5 trillion वगैरह, forget it for a moment. And that's a very simple target, and connected to it are a lot of targets, which we'll talk about. So if that has to increase by 10x, obviously it cannot increase 10x by simply doing what we are doing. Correct? You have IT, you have real estate, you've got all kinds of industries, manufacturing. So if you keep doing this, and everybody GDP kind of is increasing, I mean world or etc., so badega nahi, it won't be that high. We will end up somewhere mid. So what needs to be done? And this is where I said that we are looking at a roadmap, and I want to share my understanding, because all bits and pieces we'll just try and connect the dots. So what I've done is just broken up for quick remembrance this whole Viksit alphabet into, I mean, what we stands for and I stands for, so it's easier to remember. So I think the first thing that's going to happen, and this is very directly relatable to anybody doing a startup from a thought process angle, and I'll connect how, is V to me, and this is not government thing, I'm just, as I said, just for ease of understanding. So V is what I call value addition. Okay? Right now, the reason that we are a low income economy is that you are mostly selling in India, making in India. There's an export, but very small component. We have about 1.5% share of global exports, which is nothing. I mean, it's just, and we should have a much higher, looking at the size of the economy, and we are the 5th largest economy, but we are nowhere when it comes to, I think we are the 14th largest exporter or something. So, but because in domestically, if you make, let's say, a simple thing like, say, bananas, you produce here, sell here, versus you produce here and sell in Middle East. The value gap, and do nothing, correct? That gap might be 3 or 4 times. The banana cost is same, the fruit cost is same. So you cannot imagine, if you just Google pomegranate juice exported. So there's tons of pomegranate juice which get exported from here, or grapes or whatever it is, right? But it just gets exported as is right now, and even then there's value addition. Because you need of a certain quality and so on and so forth, because you cannot grow any of this in the Middle East. And the good part of agro is you can't grow it at any other place than where it is supposed to be. You can't grow hapus here and so on and so forth, or strawberries in North India and so on, right? So that's a very clear advantage. Just one example, right? But I mean, electronics you can do in Taiwan, in Hong Kong, in India, wherever it is, right? So it's low cost and so on and so forth. So point being, unless an entrepreneur or a startup guy thinks of it, and by the way, there are companies, or I mean multiple, but just one for example. There's a company called AgroStar. You heard of it? Anybody heard of a company called AgroStar? Okay, startup from India. I think it should be unicorn from Pune, sorry. And they do exactly what I'm saying. Exporting, but it's a whole value chain, right? So they will consult the farmer, they will be with the farmer, they will procure, they will pack, they will sell, and a farmer can't do any of this. So a farmer knows that a bunch is selling for $10, but in Indian market, suppose he sells for $1, he will still get paid $2. So he's very happy. Very, very happy. Why would he sell outside? Only thing he has to do is maintain quality, and then they are helping him. But these guys can go from, I mean, I'm just saying random numbers, but I'm saying the value addition is significant. And the importer there is completely dependent on you. He can't talk to the farmer. There's no language. Correct? He can't randomly change suppliers. कि आज आपसे लिया, कल उसने $0.5 कम किया, होता ही नहीं है. Because then, just because you're quoting a less price, and I today give you an order, the production process is long, right? You have to ensure quality, you have to be honest. There's so many ticks in place. So just one example to start off. We have very, very fancy ideas of startups, but if you see world over, barring exceptions like Twitter and so on and so forth, which are like truly because something which did not exist came into being, or social media did not exist. But many of these startups are very, very simple. So look at Dunzo, for example. What's beyond the point where's the technology? Okay, look at Ola or for that Uber, right? You are calling a taxi. Problem statement, any of this room could have defined it. कि time पे taxi नहीं मिलता है और अच्छा, you don't get it, right? But how many of us make that leap from the problem statement, and that's something that you should note or write down, to the solution? So either we feel that a problem is not big enough at all. Like I said, so in 2007 we helped raise money for a company. They were just one accountant, two people. They are now a, 300-400 crore company. All that they did, and now there are many such companies, they used to, again, agro-wala example, so it's simpler. They used to supply potatoes, and I'm not joking, just potatoes in India, okay, to people who made, French fries, etc., for McD and so on. What's the USP? So one of them was an ex-industry guy, ex-Pepsi, and one of them was a farmer's son who was like progressive farmer and so on. So one guy used to handle all the contracts with farmers, and this guy used to had relationships, so he used to go to these people and see, do you want to procure it? You know what's the, I learned it there, and they had nothing else, and they were funded, right? So the accounts of the company, we started off, they did not even have tally. Forget everything you talk of, fancy presentation and so on and so forth. Their accounts in tally were written by us, and yet an international fund funded, because they said this is a large market, that McDonald's will need to shift supply chain to India. There are 140 types of potatoes, and the acceptable range is just 5 types of potatoes. So you have to grow size and shape and so moisture, so you get great fries consistently because the moisture content is exactly that. So for that you need to grow it with a lot of discipline. You can't do randomly, कि पानी छोड़ा नहीं छोड़ा, ये हो ही नहीं सकता, which these guys used to monitor very strictly. That is the innovation, right? So we've when we talk of startups, many times these problem statements are right there, or it could be physics walas, Byju's, online coaching classes. Tell me what's great about the idea. So the next thing you need to note down, like I said, that sometimes problem statement is people overrate innovation, IPR, that's my personal view, fancy ideas and so on and so forth, and underrate execution. 80% startups are execution. Amazon is execution, correct? How many of you have had bad experiences of buying from non-Amazon sites? Many of us, right? Pick up nahi hota hai time pe, correct? Lot of, and then you do that once, you saw a fancy dress, you saw something here and you ordered, and then you don't want it. So the kind of tech, the innovation there, it gets picked up. If it doesn't get delivered on time, you get an email saying, is din nahi us din aa raha hai. If it is even more delayed, and I have gone through all of this without doing anything, is that they had sent me I was not even demanding, I was not even complaining, it was some random item that I had ordered, they sent me a gift, saying that, oh, we were late, it was some phone cover and we'll send you this. Not needed. But you will always stick to Amazon, right? Because of that beauty. Also, good, now that you're talking Amazon, there's a very interesting practice in Amazon, and you can apply it to yourself when you think of ideas. Those of you who haven't got ideas or looking at ideas, there's a practice in Amazon. Generally what happens in large organizations, they have this innovation kind of meets every quarter, so that you can, new people can go with ideas, they can pitch internally. It happens everywhere. Amazon ka to Amazon mein bhi hai. Amazon has two differences as compared to, and that's why they have been able to do a dozen things. If you are wondering ki, from say selling stuff online to an Alexa to Amazon Web Services, there's nothing common to it, or to sending like satellites, rockets. So if any person, a junior, goes to his boss and says, ye mera idea hai, for example, I feel this should be done. If the boss doesn't want it, he has to write a 2-page note on why it should not be done. Simple, correct? So that is real. So if you feel that, look, that idea, I've got an inspiration कि ये मैं education में for students ये ABCD करता हूँ. So don't let it die. If you write 100 such plans, you will get there. And most people, if you read, for example, Netflix founder's biography, I forgot the name, but you can just Google and check it. Reading biographies, by the way, anybody who wants to do, be it job or especially startups, is phenomenal free learning. You know, from 200 to 500 bucks, amazing learning, right? Many of the myths are busted. So he said basically, you know, people who think that Netflix ki ye blockbuster tha and CDs, you know, they were sending and then we. So he used to travel with his mentor to Silicon Valley, with somebody he was looking to raise funds from and so on, and he used to stay away, so he used to travel. So he said every day that time was given to me where I could research and I could pitch ideas to him. And it was idea after idea after idea we could have done for months, including like crazy ideas like selling, I mean, celebrity baseball bats, and he said that. And at some stage this came up. After, so very few of these ideas are such that they were just eureka moment and yes, of course there are those as well. But one thing about these founders is that they made up their mind, okay, I want to be. So for those of you who 10, 20 people who raise their hands, correct? You take it to the logical end. You might succeed in first year, fail for 5 years and then succeed. But then it should be very clear ki at least till the point I can stretch. Like in UPSC, I've got so many attempts. Most people in UPSC go to the nth attempt. They don't say job, they want to do UPSC, right? Something like that. So you set a mental limit. Till that limit, don't shuffle. Karna hai, nahi karna hai, karna hai, nahi karna hai. Then you go through it and you keep changing ideas. Don't change the purpose is the way I would. Because with every idea, you get better. There's a, again, interesting book by the author of Dilbert. Many of you might have seen the Dilbert cartoons. Scott, what's his second name? I forgot. So, and he has a concept of failing fast, correct? So keep doing it. If you realize that this is not going somewhere, go through it even like faster, fail and go to the next idea. So it's a fine line of where you give up, but so on. But and in US or many times here, that is there you start an initiative, you do your best, but then move on. But let's stay on course. Okay. So we started off from the V, which is value addition, and we will see India moving significantly to value addition. And if you want real life examples, which you can read today, and that's the scope we want to have 10 years. Mobile phones. There's a news which says that we make, and we have now started, we were like importing mobile phones. Now we make in India, and now we are exporting in India, right? So we are practically 100% mobile phones that you use are now made in India. Technically, they aren't made in India. They are assembled in India. For those many of you might know, right? But it's good that something is happening in India. Now, once somebody like a Samsung or a Huawei or whatever it is starts manufacturing or at least assembling, is just small steps for them where they realize that it's too painful for a supply chain ki I'm getting the chip from Taiwan, I'm getting plastic from China and so on and so forth. They explore. But when will they do? When they have scale. So when a Samsung has that scale, they say now it makes sense that I also go backwards. So suppliers to all of these, innovations to all of these, that's the valuation that will come here. So in every space, so this is one. Similarly, electronics, we are practically zero right now. My personal view is we are going to see an era of hardware moving, or hardware slash electronics from software. Although there's a hype of AI, etc., that will continue. But if you see right now, even the trend is, if you see NVIDIA shares or NVIDIA company, many of these companies, they're doing very well because software, if you want to run a powerful AI software, you will need chips, you will need electronics. How will you run it otherwise? Correct? So if you see the latest Apple, the criticism, many of you on Insta would have seen memes of iPhone 16. Why were they like that? People felt that 15 say 16 change nahi hua kuch. So it looks the same cameras, in fact smaller and so on and so forth, right? Versus say a Samsung is going to foldable phones. The same day they did this in China, Huawei did 3-fold phone. Now that is real. Or now they are giving roll-up screens. Now that is amazing innovation. Imagine that, like you have these banners. If somebody puts up a foldable screen, or you have foldable screens at wedding venues, it will be incredible, right? So this hardware component is very tricky. And I think on one hand we'll have AI, etc. But that's one perspective. The entire value chain that can be looked at. And it's not just electronics, mobile. we right now are importing all of the batteries, okay, for our electric vehicles. We don't have battery management systems. We just have the plastic part of the vehicle with the engine of the vehicle, but the heart of the vehicle is that which is being imported from China, which is very tricky to make. We make, we have, so you would have heard there's a rooftop solar in last budget. Prime Minister announced that on all houses, on 1 crore houses, there will be solar that they want to put up. So that to cut down. But for that, we don't make photovoltaic cells, right? Or the films now, they are all imported. So you will have to, if you want, but now the purpose of these policies and studying these policies is, imagine the government doesn't say कि ये 1 crore करना है नहीं करना है. That means I want to put it at my house or a society, it's all broken up. When the government says कि 1 crore लगाना है, that creates that buzz. People set up units and they know that now it will keep on going. There's a subsidy which is kind of available. A good example of this, of a government policy, and that's why I'm going back and relating to this whole Viksit or Amritkal 2A, is that going back to this whole IT thing, and I've been a witness because my articleship happened during the time when this industry started off. So there was an IT section which was introduced, 10-year income tax exemption for software companies. Till that time, such exemptions were not there for so long, and this was 100% exemption. So imagine the gap. You could reinvest all that money. Plus, they were giving benefits like if you're exporting stuff, there were a lot of restrictions. You have to file forms, RBI, etc. They said just self-declaration. Now that was a big. So imagine I'm a 4-member IT company or 4-member manufacturing company, and I have to supply some auto components to US or Japan, whatever, or somewhere. Now the kind of documentation I need to do is vast. I'm an IT company. I'm just emailing software, filing a form called Softex. Nobody has to kind of check itna software hua, nahi hua, itna paisa, and I've done that also as a part of my job at Geometric. And then they kept on relaxing the limits till the time that was practically redundant. So there's nothing. You file an income tax return, it's your money, you are making, and that was like the golden era. But because government was very clear, कि 10 साल तक you will get this exemption, people kept on expanding. And then what happens? It's called trickle-down effect, which many of you would have learned. When state governments learnt of it, there was a competition. So Maharashtra, Karnataka, the progressive, many of the states, Tamil Nadu, they said कि ये companies तो आने वाले. So they started then creating this Hinjewadi Park, or in Karnataka, in Bangalore you have this, Hyderabad you have High-Tech City, which Chandrababu Naidu. So all of these start, and they said, okay, central government is giving their tax breaks. We will give you, so in Hinjewadi land for Infosys may have been 50 rupees or 5 rupees. I mean, they said just buy it. They were after companies to just buy it. Same was with Bandra Kurla complex. You will be surprised. Maharashtra government was pushing people because all finance institutions were Lower Parel or VT and all the South Bombay. From South Bombay, people were saying, I can't come to like Bandra Kurla. So ICICI Bank was the first, and Mr. Kamath, that's why it's called a visionary. He said, no, we'll shift. So that's how they shifted, and then others started coming, etc. I have been again to Bandra Kurla, where it was difficult to get. I spent about a couple of years in Times, and my better half, and then my girlfriend was in ICICI Bank. To get a car or a rig from Kurla station to BKC was difficult, right? So that was a challenge. But then but the government had a vision, right? People who saw that vision, कि ये लोग ये सब transform कर देंगे, and this will be like did, and now it is what it is, right? So that's what happened to IT. Then the corporations came in the picture. That's how trickle down happens. And they said कि आपका or say electricity bill come, so roads, infra, all of that kept on happening. But they were the Narayan Murthis and the TCS and the Tatas who saw कि they had seen through it. They had met government, heard sessions, conducted, and say ये होने वाला है. And that is what we are doing. So if many other knew, it was very, very easy to kind of project 20 years forward what is going to happen. It was, as I keep on saying, connecting the dots. Export orders were there, arbitrage was there, land आपको free मिल रहा था, export था, और क्या चाहिए? It did not need great amount of brainstorming, some designing of some chip, etc., etc. You just study, understanding, and you are in. Nothing else. So that's the value addition part. The I part is infrastructure, okay? So which you are seeing, correct? So something which is not happening, and it affects in 2-3 ways. It's a simpler part, so I'll rush through it. So what's going to happen is connecting to if you want to do, so infrastructure is of course for all of us, that's first. So if you want to then so let's leave aside even the convenience part for us. Let's talk of the road, port, etc. infrastructure, right? Now that we have a bigger airport or bigger terminal in Pune, or we'll soon have a new airport here, look at it from the trade and merchandise angle, correct? So we had a client who used to export, for example, flowers from Kolhapur to Netherlands. Now imagine the pain of doing that. I am talking of 2007-8. Now Kolhapur might end up, some of you who are from there, I was taking a similar Viksit Bharat about 2 years back, and the local MLA announced that there might be a dry port there, for example. Some of you, so all clearances would happen, and then it will directly be shipped, and so that these things are very big. So imagine your flowers or goods. So it's now economic. Now you have a startup. You got a small order of electronics. You got a small order of food. You may be into food processing, right? It is economically unviable to send it to a port, to Mumbai, and so on and so forth, right? But if it's Pune airport starts or grows in terms of merchandise export, that's where infrastructure comes into play. Similarly, I think about 2 years from now, 1 year from now actually, we will have a dedicated freight corridor. Some of you again would have heard of it. Right now, your domestic and international, passenger and cargo trains, Malgadi as we call it, are on the same track. We are about 90% done with parallel track for goods transport. Now, once that happens, another opportunity opens up. And again, as I said, keep Googling dedicated freight corridor, etc. Is that at certain places, they will put up these container depots and logistics hub and manufacturing hub. So you say, let's say, if Hadapsar is one of the hubs for that DFC, then they will set up a 50-acre kind of a manufacturing zone, packing logistics zone, and yes, you make there, you ship there, it goes directly to port or it goes directly to wherever part in India, it gets picked up and that's it. So typically your 40-50 days comes down. Imagine going from say Chennai to Mumbai by road. Many of you wouldn't even do the product. But if this is available to you, you will, and that's connected to value addition as well, that if one of you is a fashion designer or has a friend who's a fashion designer and knows that you can make stuff here at 500 rupees, which sells for 20,000 rupees in Europe, it's not economically viable right now to send like 2 boxes, but now you can send 2 boxes, right? So that's where you need to keep learning ki ye kab aane wala hai, when will that start? So many of these drivers or sparks, like that Hinjawadi IT Park or many of these things, will start from these things which you are learning today, and you need to keep learning from now onwards. Then the K is one of the reasons why you are, which is knowledge. Okay, so we are blessed in India from 2 angles. Although Sudhakar ji obviously said there's a big gap, and which is true between. So after you step out, and we interview a lot of people, there's definitely after graduation and a professional job. So when I interview people, there's nothing that I can ask a BCom, MCom. I mean, what can I ask? There's zero experience, right? So I just simply turn around my laptop and say, okay, here's an open blank Excel sheet. Why don't you just make a hypothetical projected P&L? Okay, just 5-year, whatever numbers you want, and just write down 3. Below that, on your own P&L, draw 3 ratios. 90% people can't do it, because or are struggling to do it. Point being that it's not second nature. You simply don't know, okay, 100 rupee sale, itna cost, itna percentage. It's not instinct. Okay, so starting from there, there's a lot of ceiling gap. Those of you who wish to do, there's tons of free stuff from Pune University to Harvard, wherever you want to, or many of these digital sites, free Excel, free. I mean, there's so many free courses available. I'm doing a couple of them. There's a portal called Swayam of government. Wonderful. So right from IIM, A, B, you can do courses that's absolutely free. So you can learn them. So so knowledge, where we will be moving on, like connected to value addition, is definitely there's a significant opportunity in skilling. Those of you are interested in that part. We have right now finished off the basic from a startups angle. I'm seeing. Okay, we finished K-12, which is Byju's, and there are many. The coaching wala ho gaya. UPSC, all of that is done. Still, none of them are covering the skilling part. Thoda bahut soft skills वगैरह चल रहा है, because it's easier to do, right? I've got 10 crore students. Why do I need to dig deeper? I'll just get that. But domain-specific skills aren't happening. So if you just Google sites again, maybe in India, outside India, there are people teaching everything from cooking to yoga to whatever it is, and making money. So if you choose that extended skilling or short, I mean 3 months to 6 months, So it could be communication skills, it could be, so for example, we had physical classes here. We had, say, English speaking. There was a company called Speak Well. So that's skilling. Because there's a big challenge, especially for people coming from tier 2, tier 3. And if I go to a job, I'll say, apart from this, I'll pay 5,000, 10,000 rupees and learn English. Right? So that's add on to what you are doing. I think there's tremendous opportunity in scaling for those interested in that space in all fields. One thing which will be needed here is collaboration. You can't be in silos. I am a commerce graduate, I know this. You will have to interact. It's very difficult to kind of set up startups in one silo, in one space. You can have a cross-functional team. You'll have a friend who's in engineering. You may or may not set up with him. But if you know people from various medical, engineering, etc., at least the brainstorming is better. Your scope of ideas is much wider. So you can handle something which is commercial, planning, funding, etc., or management. He can handle technical parts, and those are some of the best startups that we've seen, like a mixed bag. Then we come to S, and which is a huge area, which is sustainability. Okay, right now just a buzzword, ki plastic, single-use plastic, don't use, and so on and so forth. But I'll tell you what's happening. See, India has committed to be net zero by 2070. So we are saying that we will not, right now, we are basically, worsening the climate, because of course we burn more coal and more fuel, etc. That's why we are saying, okay, we are pushing electric cars and so on and so forth. We are saying that even if we are doing that, we will contribute equally so that it will set off. So right now, for example, in power, simple example is there's a scheme of state government or MSEB, etc., where it says that if, or Ferguson College, if they set up a solar plant here and they are consuming 100 units a month and they generate 100 units a month of solar, their bill is zero. Okay? That is called as net metering. So that's great, right? And you break even from that solar in between, what's the technology that you use, between say 3 years to 4 years. And the life is say 15 years. So for 10 years, you are going to get free power. Correct? So, and you have become individual at this level net zero. So you can say, do the same with water and wastewater and so on. But now there are two things which are happening. One is that commitment. Second, connected to that is people perception that you would like to. So say for example, the other day we had forgotten with my daughter I had gone shopping. So we don't use plastic bags and so on and so forth, but I had missed out. Bhajila Gilo, there is no bag. And she ticked me off, saying, "Baba, bag kutte." But that is the way, because in schools they are now teaching, right? Like don't use crackers and don't use, so there's that sensitivity which is coming. So imagine when you was anyway sensitized, you would have also been told in school and there's talks. There was no talk anyways, right? Plastic was very common, we didn't even know the issue. Next generation is going to be sensitive. You see all these lifestyles and everybody now uses a paper bag, nearly 100%. But that's the first level that is happening. Where opportunity for you would really come, I mean, there are multiple sources. I mean, you can just take sustainability opportunities and tons of them. Large companies who are buying from India would want Indian companies, and this is happening worldwide, to be sustainable. So what they are doing now, say one of my friends recently did an assignment for Blue Dart. So unke sare last mile transport vehicles, the 3-wheelers, and he converted to electric. I said, Blue Dart ka order tujhe kaisa mila? I mean, it's very rare. I mean, and he has no background in this, correct? So actual startup example I'm seeing. But he went to them, pitched the idea, saying, hey, because Blue Dart has a global goal internally, and there's a push down from them, ki ye karna hai. Don't, and then because larger vendors were taking time and ye वगैरह, he said he took an engine, he said मैं replace करके देता हूँ, 24 hours done, 7 days tested, he said रख लो, 8th day order. Because they said whatever CEO is visiting, VP is visiting, 15th day we want this done, these 10 vehicles converted, khatam. But it's an extreme example, but by and large also, not just this, another of the companies that we are working with does software, correct, which will be installed say at a Bajaj Auto for example. Now, I'll say एक level और नीचे आते, say Bosch for example. Bosch will supply to a Bajaj and so on. They call original equipment OEMs. Now a Bajaj would push down Bosch because Bajaj wants to export vehicles outside, and those guys want certification. So he'll say we want you certified. So Bosch will say push down to their 150 vendors, saying आपके यहाँ पे waste water का क्या है? आपके यहाँ पे are you all guys 140 people, you put solar, whatever you can, are you doing it? what are you doing with waste, what are you doing with plastic, what are you doing with chemicals. So their software tracks, because here track kaun karega? It's not in Tally, it's not in Excel, and this needs to be certified. And if this certification goes wrong, they will lose millions of dollars of orders because then you lied, right? So now they charge something like say 10-15 lakhs to 1 year. That's how they started. But each of these guys, they are saying, abhi to free hai, but they just can get to input. Abhi ye banda kaise track karega? Correct? So their vendor is again charge a few lakh rupees for tracking his activities, and it goes on. Now, just simple, brilliant idea. There's no AI, there's nothing great. But now there are AI-based companies as well in this. So about a dozen, many companies, right? So just one example. So you could be suppliers, consultants in sustainability. Because you just need to do a skilling course or an add-on course if you really love, like Sudhakarji was in CSR. So that's a fantastic field if you know domain knowledge or you have a co-founder with that domain knowledge. These are places where there's a tremendous lack of skill, lack of material, lack of and then we are sitting here saying, "Arey, kya karna hai life mein?" Correct? So there are industries where people really want people with expertise, and because see they don't want headache. Now imagine a CFO, imagine a CEO, imagine a legal head. Usko nahi karna hai na. He has enough work on his own. He'll say, "Can you do it? You have the expertise. Okay, do it." That's it. That's the end of the story. So there's competition also right now less. So for example, I qualified in 2000. In 1999, Foreign Exchange Management Act came. It replaced the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. Now that was a restrictive act and so on and so forth. And this was a opening up act, for example, right? And I was just starting practice. So I said, kya kare? So I started studying the act because there was a sea change in how this was drafted. Completely open, liberal, etc., etc. And then I started writing about it. And I wrote in journals and so on and so forth. That got read. So there was a chartered accountant who was very senior, like 60, 65-year-old, had large companies. He said, I can't do this. I don't have to. So just take these clients. So he said, so I couldn't have imagined to get those clients in whatever my own field. And those clients, he was sending to my office, end of story, right? That got connected me to a friend of mine had joined Money Control and they are looking for new topics. Abhi hai ki nahi malum nahi. 2006, when FDI was coming in, I started writing on issues of NRI. Kuch bhi connect nahi. I don't do wealth management, I don't do banking, I don't do services. But they not only abhi PR ke liye you have to pay people. But an organization like Money Control used to pay me at that time some 750 rupees for an article, which I had never demanded. Just for expertise, because they said we talked to 10 CAs and nobody really could authoritatively write or talk on this. And this is fine. So it went on. Even today, after 15 years, I keep on, and they, abhi वैसे ही है, that email ID, etc., they did not bother at that point of their view, and so abhi bhi phone aate हैं, saying sir article padha. So that's, if you look at issues like sustainability, the point being green, which are in Marathi, the rising, the Ugata Surya, rising sun, right? So there's absolutely a virgin territory there. Food processing of a different kind, because health foods is going to be a big flip to health foods immediately, because next gen is going to be very sensitive. We are still kuch bhi khate the. You guys are thoda sensitive. Aapka next generation, imagine how they would be. Okay. Then we finished sustainability, which I and T. The second I is I forgot. International trade, sorry. So we briefly spoke about exports. We've got what the names? Yeah, sorry. So another area, again a friend of mine saying I'm ex BM college. Only one of us did a course on foreign trade. Doing extremely well, is in Dubai now, hotshot clients, advises people, etc. This is back in 2001-2. Did not do CA. There's a course in foreign trade management. Of course, we have foreign trade management. We don't have, right?
We had international business.
Same international business, whatever name, correct? So that international in that, see, it's very simple. I said in the beginning 2% export share. A couple of things are going to change that dynamic. You would, for example, know that everybody wants a substitute to China. Correct? That's called as a China plus one strategy. And now perhaps maybe Bangladesh also we don't know, because Bangladesh makes a lot of textiles, China makes everything. Okay. Now what is going to happen is, with a lot of say arm twisting happening, people are not sure kya hoga, what stand they will take, and so on and so forth. That creates a problem in supply chain. We are seeing that right now, right? So that creates a huge problem. Also, in wartime, China is, for example, supporting Korea, who is pro-A, and then so US. So there are a lot of issues which are happening. Even apart from human rights challenges and so on. So again, same, connect to sustainability, etc. Because then the next gen will say, was it made by child labor? Was it made in bad conditions? So right now, for example, the way products move is, for example, now on products you have veg, non-veg, green dot, red dot. Pehle tha, nahi tha. People started demanding, right? I want to quickly, no, please certify. Then nutrition facts. They started writing like nutrition facts. So all of this much earlier wasn't there. It started slowly kind of coming up. That is because your customers start demanding that. So as customers start, so right now if you see in Israel-Lebanon fight, there's this thing going on, okay, slowly a pushback in Western universities, ki Israel, unke products, and so people then start, India mein hota hai na, ki ban China, Diwali ke around, lot of don't take, buy China phones, all of that, that happens at a basic level, which means that you have to, look at production kind of in-house or to a friendly country. And there's absolutely, beyond the point, no choice, where there's land available, labor force available, because where do you go, which ticks many of these boxes. Fairly stable, fairly friendly, democratic, and so on and so forth. So there is where we see value addition happening. So anybody looking at see, if you look at, there are about 20 free trade policies that have been signed or about to be signed. FTPs they are called. Even if you read them, it could be advisory, it could be mapping, it could be an app on that, etc., etc. But imagine a SME company here, like I give the example of the sustainable guy, and they want to figure out where can I export, where are the opportunities, right? So an India-Middle East trade pact will have some benefits. And India-US will have different. India-UK, which is being negotiated, is different. India-Australia is different, so on and so forth. And all of these pacts are in tens of pages. Or kahi pe hota hai. For example, India-Australia, they go right down to detail. So they say India-Australia pact will say that we will allow or give free kind of visas to 500 nurses to come here. We'll allow yoga trainers. I mean, it's already there in many of these, right? So India, Europe will say that they will allow life-saving devices and so on. But your MSMEs may not know. So it could be from an app for MSMEs or a simple advisory to them, because you need to own all of them, or to give end-to-end service. And there could be a lot of or kind of again same, supporting, working, whatever it is. But if it's export orientation, another thing which is happening is that the benefit that China had, which is workforce, they are losing soon. So what is going to happen is, there's a ratio which is called as your working age population ka jo ek ratio hota hai, your dependent ratio. How many people above 62 working age population? You'll be surprised to know in about a decade from now, China's ratio will be about 84%. India's ratio, which is right now just 18%, correct, will just double to about 38%. So it's still good, but a lesser working population, a higher aged population, obviously you can understand if a company wants to set up a large unit for manufacturing, etc., is obviously not a healthy sign. So even in 2047, by the way, our mean working age is going to be 29. Most countries in Europe will be around 50, 45, etc. So in fact, so that's going to be a significant challenge in terms of population. We just organically will be there. Our mean age as such will be 38, but of population as such, but working age will still have 29. So a lot of people will be available. So that's on international trade, and then you will understand what's happening with airports. Why the rush? Because if you want to export, kaisa karoge? Why the Vardhan port coming at Ratnagiri? Because you don't have, the problem with India is you don't have deep sea ports. On the east side, you cannot have, because all our rivers drain into Bay of Bengal. If they drain, then you don't get height because there's a silt. On the west side, which is Europe, you have one, which is JNPT, which is super kind of loaded, and then you have the Adani port, so there's one coming down in south. And that's where, again, same. So here is something where you will have to look at, these areas where you are not looking at things at all. So you got people who supply things to Pune Metro. You don't have to go for grand scheme of things. We have got people who design things for Pune Metro. So you will end up doing that, and that's the whole purpose of sessions like this, is to open your eyes saying कि ये चल रहा है. So you can at least read more, understand more, and figure out कि वहाँ पे कुछ करना है क्या. Then yeah, so the last space is a T for technology. So of course AI will be there. So if AI or all kinds of technology could be simple, could be but one important thing is we are ready for technology. I'll give you very simple. So don't even go for AI and so on and so forth. Right? Very simple example. There's an app called MyGate. Some of the societies that you stay in may have this app called MyGate, okay, which allows entry exit of people and so on and so forth. Right? They started with that. You enter, we have that app, and then that guy is notified and simple, and they have added many other services. But where they are getting into, again, as I said, I'm bullish on hardware and electronics, etc. Now they have got into smart locks. Just like you would have read, if you got it, you would have email or messages saying, look at a gym. Classic problem is somebody takes the gym key home, somebody forgets. AC cooler, so nobody knows when was the last time. So the lock itself is a smart lock with access code, and you'll get an OTP. So all common spaces, you can have a smart lock. Very simple innovation, but you already have a market share of some 30,000-40,000 or maybe more, God knows, societies, and it is that. Okay, medical devices. Tracking, surgicals. So there's a student startup instantly that I was or am mentoring for the last couple of years. A guy from IIT, he's also there at IIT, got several awards. What he does is simple. Complex but simple in the sense application-wise. India has several lakh burn victims every year for various reasons, acid attacks to factory के लिए. And उसमें क्या होता है, the skin is grouted. So skin from the thigh is taken, because that's where it grows fastest, and it is put here on the face, etc. But the problem is you can't take out itna sara skin. You can take up itna sa skin. So you take a skin and then put down a wound and then put it here, and then that's how you cover up the entire wound. That's world over ऐसे ही होता है. Now for that, every month is like a dental treatment. Every month you go and do it, and it takes 6 months to 24 months. And you are exposed to double risk. यहाँ का एक risk है जहाँ पे लगा है skin, and जहाँ से, so there's a risk of infection, so many things. Now he's designed a very interesting gun. They take up the skin, they do some processing, they shred the skin, and like you spray seeds on the farm. He got an idea from there. He say farm के ऊपर if you spray it, like you will get crops. So instead of putting they kind of the skin is like sprayed on that area, and the new skin and that old jo bacha hai, that grows together. Now so effectively is geometry, right? More surface area to be covered. Now there the time comes down significantly for several other things and so on and so forth. So he's got funding, so large institutions kind of have just written checks. Indian Air Force wrote a check. Can you imagine? They said we have this issue. Pilots jump out and like a grant saying this is a big problem for us. And you solved it, and we are at a test level. We are at the first test level. Now 2-3 tests are done, but before that they gave the grant. Right? So it's just absolutely sky's the limit. So, but you should know क्या medical devices कहाँ है? सारा Siemens, Philips, everything is outside. For that matter, even your wearable devices, which right now people like Boat, etc. are importing. If you can innovate, make something small, sell to 500 people, you can sell. Another student startup that I'm part of an organization called TIE, the Indus Entrepreneurs. So we have a university, Thai university program. In fact, ma'am, I'll talk to you on that post, how we can work together on that. So there a girl had designed from Cummins, had designed an interesting thing, which is there was a small, a small device that you put here, and with the way the vibrations are, people who feel stress, anxiety, and several other disorders, that level comes down between 20 and 80%. Proven, tested with 100 people. So we put her on to a program. Another girl, another person I was mentoring, then she got selected here, won a small prize here. We sent her to the US. She stood second in the global competition and first among women, got a $25,000 prize. Right? So all of that is happening in the student startup program. There's another startup again where I've been part of. Again, very simple, but execution brilliant, called Event Beep. Any of you have heard of Event Beep or are on Event Beep? Okay. So they in fact, it started off as a college event startup, इंजिनिअरिंग COEP folks, third year, and simple. इथे कॉलेजमध्ये पण there will be like 3-4 programs, BMCC, Ferguson, like tons of programs. So there's a book, it's like a book my show for programs to start with. I want to, and many programs these are open, but there's no listing there. So they started like that. Karte karte, they are I think up to about, I don't know, 100,000 users now. Got featured in Shark Tank, got funded in Shark Tank. Okay, so now it's a LinkedIn come Insta for college students. Is how they are promoting it. So imagine this session gets over. Okay, one of you can get up and say, create a group there, and say I liked it. Okay, or whatever. I want to now discuss Viksit Bharat startup. So ye hoga, or you join newly. There will be like tons of groups there saying dance, AI, startup. You can join that. So it's indirect education, skilling, seniors, all put together one. And their clients are people like, that is one, you get people here. Their clients are people like Byju's and EdTech companies. Because you have a captive audience coming there every day, their model is, then people of like EdTech companies or Coursera and so they like propose to them saying you send us students, we'll pay you a commission. Simple. Correct? So 3 sharks funded them, then another fund funded them and so on. But it's execution. They went to that level. I mean 500,000 reach, 100,000 actual people, 10,000 people use it every day and so on and so forth. But just stuck to it, saying ye karna hai, events karna hai, karke lena hai, whatever that is, right? So that's the technology part. Also things like another student, but at high end, he had studied, I think somewhere abroad and had ideas in defense. So I mean very high end stuff for defense, but it was completely technological. So one thought I would leave all of you, if you got people in one of these domain expertise areas, agriculture, electronics, fashion, defense, I mean, you'll not have expert in defense, but somebody in COP. I think it's a great idea to collaborate because he will also be reading, he will have ideas, कि ये ठीक नहीं है, इसके लिए electronics नहीं है, इसके लिए, you know, so as simple as we are doing something in the lab and there's nothing there. Now can we make it? And so on and so forth. And there's a significant ecosystem which works. You have to stick to it to help you to make it, and there are incubators. If you just type, so Government of India ka scheme kya hai? Ki this fund that I am on board of for Pune University is they have given 5 crore rupees to hundreds of colleges and universities. Okay, it's practically like a grant. We don't have to give it back, and then we can fund between 10 and 20 lakhs per startup. Preferably student, but ऐसा restriction नहीं है कि it has to be student, depending on which incubator it is. But of course, for that also you get tons of applications. So obviously, I have an idea and वो नहीं चलता. It has to be like there's a committee and they evaluate, and these are all fairly mature in that sense, like thought-wise or some product-wise mature. And the good part and the way it is democratic is there's this seed fund scheme. If you type SFS, seed fund scheme online, there's a central dashboard. You write with the idea, proposal, all of that, and you choose that if say D Society or Pune University or Symbiosis, whatever. So whichever is the incubator center, they have given list in your, you can apply, and that center can then picks you up, saying okay. So when we get a proposal as a board member, every 3 months they'll select that we've got 10 proposals, and there's a committee meeting, and here's the presentation, and it could be from anywhere, right? So just check up seed fund scheme. Think of joining once you have an idea and a concrete thing. Then these are called as incubators. An incubator can also give you space if they like. Many people might just give space. University of Pune, for example, we give for eligible people. Could be free, could be some nominal paid, etc. Some can give completely free, saying that okay, if you have space and we like the idea, we'll just give that space. So where you are, it's like co-working, where you are apart from college, you are sitting there interacting with people. There are workshops. They have access to people. So I'm on board of say 2-3 incubators. I'll get a call saying we got this student. Can you just spend an hour with him? So all of that, the ecosystem is very well built in Pune. That's the point I'm trying to make. There are competitions almost every month, every quarter, etc. You go there, you realize log kya kar rahe, how mature they are, and people are building fantastic things. So that's why I'm saying, if you make up your mind, for the 10-20 people who said that they wish to start up, just practically treat it as parallel education. Okay, in the sense that don't look at targets for yourself, कि अरे वो product नहीं बना, I couldn't do it, etc. Just 2 years, 3 years, 1 year, that's one. And one very important thing I would leave you with as I wrap this up is there's this concept, there's a, from the founder of Pixar, there's a fantastic bio called as Creativity Inc. Okay, so I highly recommend ye. So Steve Jobs came to Pixar later. There were people who were already working on Pixar and they had taken it to a level, and Toy Story or many of these stories, Frozen, I mean, those came later. But he calls it the ugly baby concept. And all of us know, somebody has a younger sibling or you've seen. So when a baby is born, it is ugly. Now imagine that there's an alien who comes and sees, kaise dikhta hai? I want to see how a human baby looks like. So he sees it and goes, what will he think? कि ऐसा है human baby अगर अभी ऐसा दिखता है तो ऐसा ही होगा. It is not so, right? Once you clean up the baby and then it looks, within 5 minutes it will look cute. But you have to stay with it. So he said that all ideas look ugly or might look ugly to start off with. But the idea, you know, you're working kind of towards it, and something nice would come out. So don't approach it with a bias. It is average. Take it to its logical end, see what happens. And 2 or 3 questions that you ask yourself, say that and then stop. Which is, if you got ideas, could be 2, could be 5, whatever. I'll just say that. One is, look at it critically, saying most students have said, nobody has done it. Okay, which is a fallacy. There's a 98% chance that what you're thinking of in one or the other way, somebody has done it. Okay, but yet every year thousands of startups come up and get funded. Correct? That is because these days it's an era of finding that niche. There was Zomato, there was Swiggy. Zomato then became Swiggy, because Swiggy was just delivering. Zomato was just listing. Correct? So Zomato could have done, right, but they were large enough. They said nahi. There was Facebook and there was Insta. फर्क क्या था? यहाँ पे also you could post, यहाँ पे also you could post. क्यों 15-20 billion dollar दिए? They said कि next gen, that time का next gen 2005-06 is photos first, visual first, and they would not look at critically direct and indirect competition as well, because if you are starting, let's say, any startup, check कि parallel वैसा कुछ कोई कर रहा है क्या which meets that demand. Okay, so Dunzo came in despite Swiggy, but Dunzo said ये तो hotel से करता है, people to people नहीं करता है, तो मैं हूँ. Correct? Might be something else would come for students. So you don't know. So is there a delivery app just for students? No, maybe not. You can think that way. कि where is that niche की, and it is not necessary कि कोई नहीं कर रहा है, but can you do better? Can you do faster? Can you do cheaper? वो भी हो सकता है, right? So that's one. So very very critically look at it, saying कि start with the presumption कि somebody has done it, either directly or indirectly. Second is talk to between 10 and 100 people. Okay, and the question to ask is very very simple. You typically ask a person कि अरे ये मैं बना रहा हूँ 5 minutes, okay man? Okay. So typically you ask a question कि अरे I am doing this, will you buy it? Will you use it? In India people have a lot of time. Now you say yes. Nobody says no. The question to be asked is this, that I am going to charge you. So you are my good friend. Please feel free to say no. I am going to charge you 200-300 rupees per month for this. Abhi bol. Simple. Also, if you use this, it's like Tally versus ERP. Why did Tally work when there was ERP? Because it was a complete copy paste of your Munimji accounting system. Debit, credit, khatam. There was no, and it did not give any. So then ERP से उसको इसमें MIS नहीं आता, किसको MIS चाहिए? I don't. Why do you have to sell features which I am anyway not using nor demanding, right? So I want what the basic feature. It brings out 100% of the times a correct trial balance. That's it. That's usually I enter trial balance. Balance sheet भी मैं देख लूँगा. Balance sheet नहीं आया. Lot of times when I have done ये, we never used to take Tally balance sheet. We used to take trial balance and make in Excel or उस time का, right? So that's one. Second is market. Okay, so if you are, for example, selling to a market consisting of housewives or students, okay, you need to understand that. Okay, and many things happen contrary and are not logical. India is a tea drinking company, but we've got Starbucks as the largest chain. Why don't you have a single चाय का at least होना तो चाहिए था ना, 10 chain होने चाहिए थे. You got आपने equivalent of so many Vaishali, Shivsagar, so why don't you have a tea chain? Because consumer behavior, that's the second place people go wrong. कि chai is drunk in India at 2 places. One, morning you drink chai, you go out, when you go to office, एक तो अगर आपको ऑफिस की वो मशीन की कॉफ़ी नहीं चाहिए, you step out. and you do not want a white collar environment. You want to go to a chai ki tapri. You make new friends, you do that, and that's the consumer behavior. That's how you drink tea in India from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. You will always see that chai ki tapri because that works. That's what I want. And I want to stand, I don't want to sit, I don't have time, and whatever it is, right? So same chai versus coffee. It is surprising that you have got Bombay Shaving Company as a name. If you hear the founder's interview on YouTube, if you just keep on watching shorts after shorts, I mean of these type, you will hear some 2-3 minute ke, you will get 10 wisdoms per day. I at least 5-7 so it's got a very interesting interview saying that now men are tending to, if you do a survey of this room, significant number of boys will be growing a beard. And yet I started a Bombay Shaving Company, and yet it is growing, and it is beating, and so Q, correct, and so on. So I think consumer behavior, or a simple insight like the way say girls put on face cream and boys put on face cream, or for example lotion, right? So you'll take as a bits of it on hand and then apply it, and boys will just take on hand, and so boys will consume 3x versus girls, correct, and so on and so forth. So that's consumer behavior that you will know when you are standing next to a shopkeeper, next to a chai ki tapri, and next to a place where it's going to, which a lot of startup founders don't, and 80% ideas fail there. That's second or third. Then you need to have a ye karna hai to, can you deliver this, whatever you are thinking of? Can you, in the first place, I mean, India needs a lot of things there. I mean, you need better communication, better, but is it possible to build it? And lastly, do it profitably. Can you make money? So if your idea needs 10 crores to start, nobody is going to give you 10 crores in India. Simple. So can it start small? Can it start with contracting? Can it start whatever it is? And will it then get accepted, delivered, and so on and so forth? So all of those constraints, when you look at from that angle, and start, so have an idea which is positive, and then start applying filters. Okay, does it meet these acid tests of a great idea? Can I kickstart it? Can I try it slightly, work with people, and then build on it? Okay. So the message that I would like to leave you with is this: don't think in terms of is startup or not startup is not the starting point of the discussion, right? Because then you are bracketed. Many times, and I always give this example of say a Kakalwai or Chitra Group and so on and so forth, because then you start immediately thinking in a framework, incubator, fancy idea, product, scale, all of that, right? Don't think. It could be as I have worked or known a person who used to make some lakhs of rupees, not crores of rupees. He had come from tier Gav se aaya tha. So I read an article, so he had a business repairing bullock cart wheels. Simple. Like, so on Pune districts, because that's a critical component, imagine. Because you will get hurt, the bullock will get hurt. If a bullock gets hurt, breaks her leg, kitne ka investment hai. But you don't have money to spare, the farmer doesn't have money. So it's simple idea. Repairs of bullock cart wheels can be an idea, correct? And done well. So anything can it. So first thing, absolute need. So the thought is this: absolute need, maybe as an employee. That's where the skilling come in. The first part came in, right? Where can I be useful? So it has to be multidimensional. It can't be accounts. It can be how am I useful? Okay, I can make great plans. I'm lovely in Excel. I'm a very good thinker. I can think 360, whatever it is. Like just build on that. So when you talk and when you interview, when you say I am good in Excel, you should be able to challenge. Ki sir, you give me your laptop. मैं अभी आपको करके दिखाती हूँ. And if you've done 50 plans, you don't have a problem. So that I'm thinking in terms of the skill set. So coming back, I think it's expertise in this generation that we want to look at. Insane level of expertise that you can get. I want to do this. So it could be from from defense and skin treatment of wounds to bullock carts to potatoes to whatever it is. I think that is not relevant. You feeling that I need to solve this problem. Here it is. Let me apply myself and see where that goes. नहीं चला ठीक है. Or it applies all 5 tests, doesn't work. Okay. Problem 2. काम क्या है in school or college life? That beyond learning, what else do you have to do? I mean, just get after this like crazy. And here's wishing you all the best. I hope we see many startups. I hope this is a lecture series that ma'am has started. So I think we need. Thank you. Thank you. So if you wish, I keep writing on this on LinkedIn as well. I'm there on VINITDEO, Vineet Dev, as the name suggests. Feel free to follow me. So again, same. I apply the same principles. I write 3 posts on LinkedIn, minimum 3, maximum 6 every day, small bits, something or other. So what I'm asking you to do something that we do all the time. So if you push yourself and read, I think it's very much possible. I was saying that 10, 15, 20 years down the line, we want to see one of these faces or many of these faces come and talk here, and we listening to them. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. In a sky full of ideas, choose the one that appeals to you the most. Nurture it and just see it grow. Thank you, sir, for your Vikasit model. So we come towards the end of our lecture series, and I would like to take this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks. First and foremost, I would like to thank CA Vineet Dev for gracing this occasion to enlighten our students. I would like to thank the office members of Deccan Education Society who are present for this function. I would like to also thank the office bearers of Deccan DES Pune University. I would like to thank our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Prasad Khandekar, Head of School, Dr. Mrugakshi Rajhans, colleagues, and of course, my dear students. You have been a wonderful audience and hope this endeavor of ours has helped you in many ways. Thank you very much. Now I request everyone to rise for Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujata Subala, Malaya Shitala, Sasyamala Mataram, Vande Mataram, Shukra Jyotsna Pulakitaya. Ullakusumita Drupadalashodhini Suhasini Sumadurabhashini Sukharam Varadam Mataram Vande Mataram Vande Mataram. Thank you. Thank you.